Since arriving in 2019, the most moving experiences that I've had is getting to know the people of the Archdiocese, visiting their parishes, getting to know them in casual and occasionally in very formal settings, but also getting to know their kids. I hope that it's been clear and obvious that I really value my time spent with our young people. It gives me hope, it gives me joy, it allows me to see both the future as well as the present energy of this local church. I hope that I provided an opportunity for people, not just in a sense of pride, but in a sense of opportunity, that the young people can see a world that they can fill with their own dreams and with their own possibilities. I hope that my ministry has lifted the horizons for a lot of our young people to see as possibilities that generations of young people in the past never even envisioned. I've had to be the first for many, on many different occasions. The first African-American bishops to serve in the Archdiocese of Chicago. The first African-American bishop to be president of the Conference of Bishops. The first African-American bishop here as the Archbishop of Washington. So I have had a number of opportunities to be the first. And in accepting those opportunities, I also want to make sure that I realize that whatever legacy I leave will be available for the second, for the third, for the fifth, who will, in God's own time and with God's own grace, will inherit the responsibilities that I've been fortunate enough to have. When the Holy Father placed the Cardinal's biretta on my head, the thoughts that filled my heart were thoughts of my own family. My mom and dad struggling to provide a good education for me and my two sisters. My wonderful grandmother, Etta Mae Duncan, who was so pivotal in my upbringing. I've said this before, she was a domestic. She worked as a housekeeper to provide the opportunity for her grandchildren to get a good education. I thought about that. I thought about the sacrifices that people have made in my own life, but also the sacrifices that African American Catholics of color have offered in their fidelity to our church, their love for our church, their faithfulness to the Catholic community that they love and have loved all of their lives. So I thought about history. How did I get here? How did this moment happen to me? And how grateful I am to have reaped a harvest of faith that was made possible by people in my own life, but people that I have never known, but were faithful Catholics who have fallen in love with the Catholic Church, and that I just so happen to be the one to reap the benefit of their love and their devotion. One of the social issues that was already underway, but I hope I've added to its continuation, is the care for the unmarked graves of those who were enslaved, That process began before I arrived, but it's also taken new energy under the careful guidance of Bishop Campbell, Father Russo, the Society of Jesus, the people themselves who are the descendants. That's an important movement because it allows us as a church to accept things that happened in the past. It allows us as a church to look toward the future and to reconcile with history and to see the work that still needs to be done, but to take ownership of events that have been defining events in this local church, but also in the church in the United States. We have to go forward. We cannot simply remain mired in the past. We have to learn from the past. We have to respect the past. But we also have to realize that the past is not the future. What happened yesterday is not the only thing that will determine tomorrow. And I've tried to do that in ways that would allow people to say, he understands the hurt, the pain, the embarrassment, the anger, the frustration. He understands those. But he wants us not to be limited by what happened yesterday. I have to apologize, as I do, as I have to, for the egregious behavior of clerics, obviously one of the Cardinal Archbishops of Washington himself. I have to acknowledge that. I have to say, this is horrendous. It should never have happened. It embarrassed us. It brought us great shame. But we're more than that. One man cannot destroy the entire church. Of all of the things that I have thought about with the pandemic, it heightened our ability or our realization that we cannot be church alone. We need one another. And it means that we have to find ways to be together. We're still trying to invite people back. There's still people who are hesitant to be in crowds or to be with their neighbors, with their fellow parishioners. We need to find ways to assure them that without being together, we miss a terribly important dimension of what it means to be a Catholic. Obviously, the electronic media provided an opportunity for people to watch Mass, to participate in televised religious ceremonies, and that was a good thing. But it's no substitution for the sacramental reality of sitting next to your neighbor, hearing the voices of the choir, being actively engaged in the worship life of our church. Christ did not found a church on media. He founded a church for men and women to be together. And in the midst of that gathering, where 2 or 3 have come together, I'm in their midst. I'm going to follow the example of our senior priests, both here in Washington and Atlanta and Belleville and Chicago. Our senior clergy continue to give great example of generosity and devotion to the mission of the church, and I certainly hope to follow that good example. I certainly hope to be a Sunday supply priest. I certainly hope to be engaged in the worship life of our parishes that would invite me to participate in their parish life.